Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Everyone, really appreciate you being here today. All the other speakers appreciate you being here today. The people that put this event together genuinely appreciate everyone being here today. I want to give you guys a little disclaimer first. I tend to reiterate points, and I never was a reiterator until I had my son, who is now 13, and he can't understand anything unless it's been told to him pretty much 25 or more times. So if I repeat myself, you can blame my son. Can one person change the world? I think that's a pretty obvious yes. There's countless people throughout history who have changed the world. Mother Teresa, Gandhi, JFK, you name it. I think the more important question is, can you change the world? Can I change the world? And the answer to that is yes. Every person in this room today, every person watching via the web has the ability to change the world. Now, how do we get there? I want to ask you guys all a question, and I want you to really take a minute and think about it. Are you genuinely happy? I don't need to see a show of hands, but I want you to think about it for a minute. If you answered yes, that's great. If you answered no, and I was one of these people for a long time that answered no, I was not genuinely happy. We've got some work to do, but it's okay. The question is do you guys want to know the secret to happiness? Anyone? Anyone? I think there's probably one or two people here that might have piqued a curiosity. What is the secret to happiness? It's actually very, very simple. But I think what I would like to do first is cover what it's not. So what is not the secret to happiness? It's not money, even though money is nice. It's not all the places in the world we've traveled, also nice. It's not the amount of friends we have or the amount of things we can do. It's not winning the lottery. It's not even having our kids win a gold medal. All of these things are really nice, but they're really not what comes down to being truly happy in yourself. The secret to happiness is simply living according to your own beliefs. Let me say that again. And this is true. I would definitely challenge, and I have challenged a lot of people as I've talked through organizing this nonprofit, is what is the secret to happiness? Really living according to your own beliefs. And in other words, it is living according to what you know in your heart is the right thing to do. I think all of you have either been asked at some point in your life or have heard the question, are people innately good or are people innately bad? Every time I hear this, I kind of chuckle to myself because the answer to that question to me is very, very self-evident. People are all innately good. If we weren't innately good, we wouldn't feel bad if we did something wrong. If we were innately bad, we would do bad things and not care about it. But for the most part, when people do something wrong, if you hurt on accident somebody that you care about, you feel bad. So that is how we all know that we are good. So that said, changing the slide here, it's probably a good time to talk a little bit about how I ended up here today and how I came to talk to you about happiness and changing the world. So I'm Doug, kind of like the cartoon, not a lot fancy about my life, but let's talk about some things that I'm not. I am not a doctor. I am not a lawyer. I am not a genius scientist. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm also not a professional speaker. That's probably fairly self-evident, so I appreciate you guys' patience with me. I've never broken any world records, and I most likely never will. But let's talk about the things that I am. I am, clicker is working here. There we go. I am just a person, like everyone else in this room, trying to balance 1,000 things, the job, relationships, being a father, a list of to-dos that never seem to end. And I have, though, a fairly unique backstory, and I'd like to share a little bit about that with you. I was born I have an older sister, and about the time I was 1.5, my father died. We were very poor, and it came down to a decision of, does he go to the grocery store or go to the doctor's? He was ill. He decided to get groceries, and he died of double pneumonia. My mother had taken off at that time, and she came back, and she was, after my father passed, candidly, a drug addict and a working prostitute. She brought some not very nice people back with her when she came back into my sister and I's life, and we spent about the next 3 to 4 years in and out of foster homes, extended stays with our grandparents, and being pulled away from our mom on a regular basis. About the time I was 5 years old, the state finally took us away, and we were awarded to my grandparents on my father's side permanently. I seemed to get through the rest of my childhood without very much self-inflicted damage. Not to say there's a lot of choices that if I was given the opportunity or were put in front of my son, I wouldn't make different or have him choose differently. When I got to my senior year of college and I had big life plans, I had dreams, and I found out that I was going to be a father myself to Austin. As they say, when it rains, it pours, and I'll use that a couple of more times. My son was born at 1.5 pounds. So here I am, 21 years old. I have all these hopes and dreams. I'm going to go out. I'm going to start my life. I'm going to do amazing things. And I'm studying for finals, and I end up with a 1.5 pound baby in the NICU. And we don't know if he's going to have cerebral palsy. We don't even know if he's going to make it. It's just a complete and total mess at the same time that I'm trying to graduate college and trying to find a job in a town that I actually didn't want to stay in. Again, when it rains and pours, my grandfather, who raised me and was also, unfortunately we lost him a couple of years ago, best man I've ever had the privilege of knowing in my life, diagnosed with cancer right after Austin got out of the hospital. And so there's been some stresses in my life, and unfortunately, as we all know, stress is not good for anything, and mine presented itself in the form of a very serious autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. I don't know if any of you have any experience, with this disease, but it's ugly and it's nasty and it's very humbling for a 25-year-old young man to have to deal with. My condition progressed what you'd say very rapidly, and after about a year, it almost cost me my life. I came very, very close to dying. What all of these experiences did for me was they really got me thinking about my own life at a young age, where a lot of my friends were out, partying and traveling. I had a 4-year-old that I was taking at the time, pretty much primary care of. I just came out of having this disease, which left some pretty measurable tracks on my life. And so I got the opportunity, which now looking back on it is I'm thankful for, which some of the toughest roads looking back are the best roads. But I got the opportunity to reflect on my life and what I wanted my mark to be at an early age. And so that's what I did. I really started thinking, what did I want my story to be? When I looked back on my life, did I want to spend 50 years or more working in a career that just made good money, or did I want to do something that really, really mattered? And for me, I decided that my story and my own happiness, again, we're getting back to where happiness comes from and living according to what you believe. My belief is one person can change the world. So that is what I did. I decided I was going to do what I could to change the world. And I want to tell you that we are going to go full circle. But I had this grandiose notion a few years ago that I was going to change the world in a very big way. I was going to do something amazing. And so I really started thinking about what it was that I wanted to do and what really mattered to me. And I'd had all these experiences. You know, I was an orphan kid, quasi-orphan, I guess you could say. I came from a very abusive situation. I had spent time in foster homes. I had a grandfather who had battled cancer. I had a son who was a premature baby. You know, I had battled my own autoimmune disease. What was it that I wanted to go out and focus on? And I started looking at all of these things that mattered to me and soon realized there were very, very smart people, significantly smarter than me, running organizations, making impact in all of these areas. And that was candidly a little disheartening. So what was something unique that I could do and candidly touch on all of these things that really mattered to me? And so what I started thinking about, and it's just a product of when I was born. You know, they say we can never help where we were born. We just make the best of our situation. I am a product of kind of the quote-unquote social media generation. And I will tell you, because of my life experience, sorry, I don't know if that was me or not, but because of my life experience, I was never a big social media guy. I didn't use it because I saw, you know, most of my friends posting about, you know, places they were partying and, you know, whatever car they wanted, and all of these things that candidly, and I'm not saying social media is bad by any means, but all of these things that were kind of ego-driven uses. And on the other hand, I was, you know, trying to raise a son and take care of, you know, of my son and bills, and I just had kind of a lot more grown up stuff going on at the time. So I started thinking, though, about social media and what it meant, and what if, just what if, somebody could use social media to do some good? I'm not talking about transforming the way social media is used completely, not going to happen. But what if we could use social media to inspire some people? Some really interesting social media statistics that I don't think most people realize. 12%, that's taking all people, over 7 billion people now on the planet, 12% of the world's population uses social media. 60% of the US population uses social media. Here, there's a lot of people tweeting, Facebooking, a lot of social media being used. Very interestingly, 98% of people between the ages of 18 and 24-year-old use social media in this country today. That is a huge statistic. Think about that. 98% of people between the ages of 18 and 24 are using some form of social media. That's a big thing. So, that said, how do we use social media to change the world? Again, this is my calling. This is something that I felt the need to do. This was kind of my step into my own personal happiness. What I did was I got a hold of my cousin Jason, who's a very creative individual, and we put together a plan for an organization that would harness the power of social media and use it to help inspire people. We wanted to take social media and inspire people to do good with the world. In other words, how do you make people care more? This is a conversation I have often because people always say, people don't care. How do you make people care more? How you make people care more, and it's really crazy, is you have to make giving back and caring cool. That's what you have to do. Because when do things start to trend? Think about anything on social media, anything that trends. Usually the things that trend are things that, especially the youth, deem as being cool. So we put together an organization that we thought would be really, really cool. And so it was called $1 per month charities. And very briefly, what we do is we make giving back fun, easy, and trustworthy. Usually in life when, for instance, all of you, if you have a favorite charity, it has to do with a singular event. Like I, didn't have a singular event. There was a lot of events. We felt like the people that would really resonate with this organization would be younger people, so we wanted to really focus on a wider range, a wide variety of charities so that we could maybe help people find their charity versus only supporting one cause. On top of that, we wanted to take away all the reasons that people have to not give back and turn them into reasons that they would want to give back. For instance, if you think about the reasons people don't give to charity, think about it just yourself. Why wouldn't you give to charity? Well, a lot of people would say, I don't know where my money's going. Can I really trust these organizations? So what we said is, we'll go out and we'll do all the research. We'll find the coolest charities out there actually making a difference, making an impact in the world, and being financially responsible with their own donor contributions, and we'll select them and we'll showcase them for you. And then people will say, well, I don't have enough money to give. All right, well, we'll make it so you can only have to give $1 a month, literally $1 a month. We'll go out and we'll negotiate with the banks and the credit card companies, and we'll make the transaction costs extra low because we're a 501c3, and we'll make that. And then people will say, well, even if I give just a little, what's $1 going to do? And we said, well, you know what we'll do? We'll just combine all your dollars with everyone else's dollars, and together we'll go out and we'll make a difference in the world. And so that's what we put together. And again, it was all designed around making giving back fun. And this is just kind of a slide to showcase what the site looks like and how it's social media integrated. You can see there that you can invite your Facebook friends, et cetera. Next slide. We pick 3 charities every month, like I said, and we showcase them. And what we do is we just make giving back fun, easy, and trustworthy. And again, the name of this presentation was, Can One Person Change the World? We wanted to offer a way for people to feel like they were part of a community and that they had the power to change the world. Because if you make people feel like they have the power to change the world, it's like throwing a pebble in a pond. And what happens when you throw a pebble in a pond? The ripples start to go out. Well, people sometimes just need a little kickstart. They just need help tossing that pebble in, and they go, you know what? These things matter to me. I care about the environment. I care about kids. I care about disaster relief. And because they care, maybe they'll start to do things a little differently. Let's talk about doing things a little differently. Why should people care more? Really quickly, a lot of places you go, candidly, almost every place you go in the world today, what do you see when you go to throw something in the garbage? You see a garbage bin and a recycling bin right next to each other. Yes? Okay. What do you invariably see if you take the lid off the garbage can? Stuff that could have easily gone in the recycling bin. And I see this, my girlfriend laughs at me because everywhere we go, I'm picking through the garbage and putting stuff in the recycling bin. She's like, do you really need to go through the garbage in public? And I'm like, yes, I do. And here's why. Because people need to care more. 4.5 pounds per day of waste, if you, on average, in the United States, if you take all the waste, there's 4.5 pounds of waste per person per day. About 75% of that waste is recyclable. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, only about 30%, 1.5 pounds of it get recycled. If you do the math on that, it's about 2 pounds of waste per day. Again, 2 pounds of waste per day per person in the United States. The current population of the US is about 314 million people. Again, 314 million people, 2 pounds per day. That's 628 million pounds a day of waste that is going into the landfills that could have gone into a garbage can. And what does it take? Just almost no extra effort. It's just getting people, inspiring people to care more. And that's what we're trying to do. If you just extrapolate that really briefly, just think about all the trees that wouldn't need to be cut down, all the natural resources, the plastic that could be melted down, turned into hospital stuff. It's a big impact with very little effort. And the reasons for people to care more are countless. I could go over them, but I think you guys get my point. So, slide. People ask me all the time, would you do this over? Absolutely. 75% of all startups fail. If I had to do this all over again, I would. Is it easy? No. But again, my calling was going out and doing something to make the world a better place. And so I chose to do that. If I knew what I knew, if I knew then what I knew now, I might cause for pause, but I would still go out and do it. But what I've learned along the way, and this is how I want to wrap up today, you don't have to be a Mother Teresa. You don't have to be a Gandhi. You don't have to be some average Joe with a little bit of a tough background to make the world a better place. It doesn't take that at all. I want to go back to my original thought. If you live simply according to what you know in your heart is right on a daily basis, you will make the world a better place. You will be a better partner. You will be a better parent. If you just go out and do every day what you know in your heart is right, you in turn will do your part. And just like that ripple effect, just simply being a better person, being who you know you should be in your heart, you will have an impact on the world. So in closing, my challenge to all of you is to be happy. That's it. I want everyone to leave here today, and I just want you to go out and be happy. And how are we happy? How are we going to find genuine happiness in our life? It's simply by living according to what we know in our heart is right. And in turn, what do? We change the world for the better. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me today. Thank you. Have a great day.